was going to go back to, we had expanded our farming, now to Monterey County and gotten to know a lot of people in Monterey. Loved the fruit coming out of Monterey, Santa Lucia Highlands in particular, but Arroyo Seco had some really good shit too. And so Meiomi had grown at the time to be much bigger, and I was like, we can't just sustain doing what we're doing if we stick with Sonoma Coast. We've got our vineyard designates. We've taken price increases on those because demand was high and we needed to slow it down and not run out of stock, which I've run out of inventory before. It is the biggest pain in the ass because all of that time you spent building up a market, and all of a sudden you've got people that love your wine, say whatever, it could be a steakhouse in Texas, and they rely on Belle Glos being their go-to Pinot Noir, and then we're like, oh, we're not going to have any for 6 months. And you got to go back in there hat in hand and be like, hey, our new release is coming out. Can we get back on the list? You got to go back and do that foundational work again. And so one way to slow down your rate of sale is by raising price. There's no perfect science. You can't be like, I know if I go from this to this, it will give me a 12-month sell-through. But, if your model is purely direct-to-consumer and wine club, then that's great. If you sell everything out the day you release, that's awesome. Cool, go get it. That's your model, and that works. And you're riding high if you're doing that. But there's somewhere between that and large-scale production that is a much trickier situation, where you have volatility in pricing, demand is volatile as well. And so we found ourselves in that position of okay, we want to make sure that for the restaurants that are carrying our wines, that are pouring them by the glass or just having them on the list, or the wine shops that are carrying our wines and want to make sure that they're maintaining shelf placement, that we don't run out of stock and somebody else takes that spot. We got to go back and do that work again. So taking a price increase would slow it down. Again, not a perfect science, but you can say hey, we're going to take a $5 increase, see what that does. Well, did it bring our production or our sales rate down by 20% and give us that runway for 12 months, or is it 9 months of sell through, or is it 18 months of sell through? You just don't know, and you don't want to get too backed up on a vintage, or you also don't want to get too ahead of sales where you're running out of inventory. So we're learning how to manage the brand kind of from that perspective, because we couldn't put more wine into Belle Glos. We could do that with Meiomi. We could buy more grapes, but we couldn't plant and get a production in the first year off of Clark and Telephone, Dairyman, or Las Alturas. So those things take planning to be able to expand your production. And then sometimes your property just only has so much acreage, and you hit a stalemate. You're at a stopping point where it's this is the maximum that we can ever plant here. This is the maximum we can produce. Therefore, this is what we're dealing with on an average basis. And then Pinot Noir on top of it has these volatile volume ups and downs, because crop yields can be very iffy in these coastal areas. So you might have a year where you get 3 tons an acre and you're awesome, bumper crop, that's solid. And then you might have a half a ton to the acre another year. Your inputs are all going to be the same. Your costs are going to be the same, but your volume is going to be much, much lower. So what do you do in those years? And those are the years where you probably want to take a slight price increase or pump the brakes, adjusting your by the glass pricing or whatever it might be, whatever tool you want to pull out. That's going to allow you to manage the brand, to maintain continuity of supply, and also the visibility to the customer out there.
Well, I find that interesting because now the time that we're at now in the wine industry, there's this thought of premiumization.
Yeah.
We're seeing the volume of wine has decreased, whereas cost has increased in luxury. So it's kind of interesting, and the volume of decrease, right, has been attributed to younger generations.
Yeah.
But there's still, what's interesting about that is maybe not buying as much wine, but still kind of looking to spending more on those special bottles of wine, I guess, or more occasional or something like that. I find it kind of interesting that you're talking about that now in that time. I think it's evolved.
Yeah, I think we've definitely hit a new level of something like that here with where we're at, but you also don't want to like jostle your pricing every year. I think that's one thing that if you can be the go-to, the constant, the reliable product in any given case, really, not just wine, but you're going to have more success by maintaining that kind of like that stability. So we do our damnedest to do that, but there are some times where you hit a wall and you can't. You gotta make some sort of slightly drastic maneuver. But yeah, I think the idea and what I think is now kind of showing itself, and even just very recently, where the idea that people are drinking less but drinking better. Mm-hmm. It's just so fragmented, where the thought originally was that the younger generation is not drinking as much, which they aren't. They also don't have the money to drink well.
Yep.
And the few that do are drinking well, and they're much more like I'd say specific to what the event that they're going to be drinking what at. So if you're going out to a nice dinner, they're going to try to make it a very special thing, and then they're going to skimp on everything else for the next week or whatever because they treated themselves and they had a great experience. That's very important to them. But then you also have the older generations, I'll call them like the baby boomers and Gen X, and even millennials to a degree, but I think it's really Gen X and above, that we're now seeing information out that like they are drinking less. Millennials are like the drunks of the group, by the way. We are millennials, but they are considered to be the biggest abusers of alcohol.
Yeah.
But
we don't give up.
Yes. But those older generations are also drinking less for other reasons. They still have the means, but they are drinking even better. And so you're seeing this move up the price ladder and people being more comfortable saying like, yeah, I'm going to buy a $40, $50 or $100 bottle of wine and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of that thing on Friday night instead of having, wine Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's all good by me, but it is very fragmented right now. But our place in the wine world is a beneficiary of that. Really, I mean, we're doing okay. We're not doing phenomenally well. We're not growing by leaps and bounds, but we're showing some growth after a couple of really, really difficult years. And it's COVID from then on and all the jostling in the market, consumer changes in demand and all that. And we've tried to stay as stable as possible. So like we're always here for you. You want to have a great bottle of Pinot Noir. We want you to feel like this wax seal is our guarantee to you that you're going to have a good experience with this wine. And I think that does resonate with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I was going to ask, I'll just ask it now, like with the 25 years, is there anything you would have changed that you did? Or would you, like, if you had to do it all over again, would you just done it the same way?
Dude, I probably would have changed everything.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay, because I'm saying, like, okay, first of all, it's like you chose, and again, this is not saying anything wrong about the people that go the route of school, okay? But you kind of did this thing where you, like, you said it yourself, you dropped out of college and you just went straight to work.
Yeah.
And you kind of did this thing, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but you were living in a trailer in Mexico, for your first experience, and then you were going into more of vineyard management, grape growing, and so I felt like when you were telling your story, what I was hearing is that kind of foundation, and then especially kind of getting with a group of others that like you, but then also from different backgrounds. I'm trying to move too. Like this whole story kind of feels like it, and everything that opportunity that was right there when Sideways came out to then, I mean, it sounds like, it sounds like a good route to me.
It would It's
but maybe there was some things that I haven't mentioned that
there was nothing wrong with the route. I'll say, and that's life, right? Like that's kind of the beauty of it. You look back and you're like, I would have changed 100 things easy.
Yeah.
But you also look at it and you're like, fuck, I would have not been where I'm at today without having those kind of like whatever odd pivotal moments that really put me into a difficult position. Like that year that we produced 3 times the amount of fruit.
Yeah.
That was before Sideways. and the accountant for the company
Yeah.
was looking at our debt load and was like, "You might just want to consider shutting this down."
Shit.
and that's like, that hits you hard, and you're like, "No, I'm gonna fucking make this work." Like, yeah, I know we're riding on. We invested in vineyard and planting and all the inputs that go into it, and then making the wine and then the barrels and all. I mean, all of that shit, right? And we're like, yeah, we're going to put even more money into it by bottling it, and then we're gonna hope that it sells and makes us some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a real conversation. It was, I was in a ton of debt, and it was like, well, I'm either going to make it work this year or it is going to go under. And so, but that was a risk, right? I was young. I was like, very like, I had my opinions and what my thoughts were. And I was like, fuck, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to make this work. And, would it have worked if Sideways didn't come out?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's hindsight. I wish I knew the answer to that. But in the meantime, we were able to, build a brand because of the happenings that went on, and the risk that was involved. But the success of the brand didn't come without risk.
Yeah.
That was, I think that what my dad had said to me was, and I think it's a great philosophy when you have, children and you want to keep the door open to them if they want to get involved in the family business, which is a very special thing, I think. And I've got my children and I have those conversations with them now. And it's like, it's funny, in America, you kind of look down. I was a victim of this. I self-victimized myself with this, which I absolutely hate being. But yeah, I wanted to look elsewhere because I was like, I don't want to like just follow in my family's footsteps. Like, I got to make my own way.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that America has this idea that's not like it's not the most respectable thing to do. I actually think that in Europe and most other countries for that matter, if you have a family business that's being passed down generation to generation, it's like the most respectable thing to do. The society around them looks at it like that's the best way to go. Like you want to carry on the knowledge and the foundation and the continued building of what your family has created with generations before you. We don't really have that here in America. It's kind of viewed negatively, which is an odd thing. And that's something I'm, working with my kids on right now and understanding that it's not so much about, I'm not giving you a business, I'm giving you an opportunity. And that's how my dad approached it. He said, like, you're going to have your own, like, this is, if you want to get involved in the business, the finances are not like part of the family business. Like, this is your own business.
Yeah.
But what did he give me? He gave me the resources, like a place to make the wine, the knowledge of how to grow grapes and make wine, the marketplace, getting to understand and learn the marketplace, and working with him and under him and getting all of that experience to develop relationships that would carry into my future and whatnot. So that's all, I think, that's all a big part of it, right? In that generational piece. But I'd say that I didn't really see that at the time so much, like in my early days. I was just trying to work and try to make something happen, but also taking advantage of the kind of familial and institutional knowledge that my dad and anybody around my dad had. So in trying to do that same thing with my kids right now.
Did your dad teach you about influencing?
Totally. Yeah. He's like, someday this thing called TikTok. TikTok's going to come out.
Like old school influencing. I mean, because I think about the involvement, and we talked about where it came from. I think you were talking about the hard times with the critics, and we already kind of talked about, social media. You're talking, I mean, also just people taking on family businesses. I think now, who would have known that there would have been, YouTube around or something like that, and these kids can kind of just hop on anywhere and see someone just creating their own thing digitally, right?
Yeah.
Their own channel, which you could say is a business, whatever they're talking about, whatever the video games or, how to play with, toys or whatever they're doing on there, and stuff
People
like
are making money in the weirdest fucking ways,
yeah,
dude.
Exactly, right, yeah. And and so I was like seeing how you've evolved with that during the time, and if you think that's like, I mean, do you think do you like it for the wine industry, in the sense that people can now look so much more to others for guidance or knowledge about wine and where to go instead of just relying on like critics and a number.
Oh, I like it much more. I actually like, if you're taking that kind of like word of mouth and just, sharing of content, I much prefer that over your old school like print ads or billboards or anything. Like you're actually able to hear somebody's opinion on something. I think that's way better, or actually hear their backstory if you're actually going to their channel. Not enough people in the wine industry have taken that to heart and are actually exploring and exposing, who they are. I think like we are to a degree, but not like what we're doing right now. Like today, this is, you got to be a committed person to the brand or our company to listen to this whole fucking podcast of you and I talking, right?
If you are.
And we thank you very much if you are truly listening to all this.
They're like, where's the chapter marker that just talks about this 25th anniversary bottle that I'm staring at? Because we're going to have to talk about that here pretty soon. But this is all good stuff because, I mean, I'm saying this because you've thrown yourself into this social media gig. I think not like almost like 5 years now, right? Because COVID was really what kind of
COVID
got us to push you into it.
Yeah, you did push me into it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we kind of pushed you. Well, I mean, I think you kind of liked it. You like a little push, everything.
But I mean, it was marketing has completely changed now, and the industry needs to evolve and move with the marketing of how people want to digest marketing, rather than trying to continue to push against the traditional forms of marketing.
Yeah.
And that'll all get figured out in time. I mean, wine's not going to die; it's not going to go away. But like, people are going to figure out if, the ones that do are going to survive, or be the most well known. They're going to have an opportunity right now to do it. And I think that's kind of we're also trying to take that opportunity. But I would much prefer, rather than us being a singular successful online premise or online presence through multiple platforms, I would rather see 50 or 100 people in the industry doing stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's gonna raise the tide, and the tide is a benefit to everybody in the industry of wine in general.
I think we got to get back to that vibe that you had with the group when you were first starting out with Pinot. I would like to see like the wine communities come more and more together.
Yeah, and
learn from each other. I mean, even we've been doing that with social media. But another piece I like about it too, which I feel like you've always said at the beginning, and we have a lot of fun and we do a lot of crazy things. I mean, I don't think you would have ever thought someone had been like, hey, that wax, dude, you're going to be waxing Cheetos and eating them. You're going to be actually making your own red bottom shoes.
Yeah,
these bloody shoes. And then, but to get attention, to like have fun with people, to let them know that this isn't a stuffy culture anymore, that it is inclusive. Yeah. And that everyone's welcome and you can have fun. And
it's fucking fun. It's a fun industry.
We can have it just as fun as the spirits, like we said, and the breweries and all that. So with that being said, I feel like you've always had a love for the educational piece though too. And it's crazy to me. There's always going to be a need. Like, even though that there's Chat GPT and Google and stuff like that, you'll still be people in the comments that say like, "Oh, you're just doing the wax so you can sell your wine for more money." Then we got to get into sealing, right? But how many times have you talked about the wax seal?
I mean, let's talk about it for a second. I know we talked about it for a minute here, but like the wax seal was originally the differentiator, and I remember bringing the sample bottles up to my dad, and we did just the neck, a little bit deeper on the neck, and then this, but it wasn't consistently on the front back then. It was like randomly just sideways, like 45-degree angle, and
sideways. Ooh, man,
it was sideways. Yeah, we preempted sideways, and so my dad just looks at it. He's like, I mean, that's a good look, but we said something to that effect, like that's a good look, but if you start doing wax, you're gonna be stuck doing wax for the rest of your life. And I was like, man, it's only gonna be a couple hundred cases, like. Not a big deal. and so then he used a guy that he used to work with, Randy Dunn, who's still making wine up on Hell Mountain. Yeah. He's like, Randy Dunn started using wax and he can't get away from that shit. People buy his wine and he wants to get away from it, but he thinks that people are going to stop buying his wine because they love the look of the wax. And again, I was like, that's a couple hundred cases, no big deal. And so we started doing the wax. And what I will say about the wax is I don't have anything to prove this, but when that influx of brands and products came out from, a dozen or more to 500 or more, it really did help solidify the relevance of Belle Glos with the red wax, because I knew people tasted the wine. I knew people liked it. We still didn't have good scores, but we would be at these events and we'd be one of the few tables with 5 or 10 people deep, like waiting in line to get a taste of our wines. And I thought that was absurd. You'd have like people right next door to us that were like, they'd be lucky to get one person every couple minutes to come and want to taste their wine. And it's like, dude, was that because, well, I mean, we were an early Pinot Noir producer prior to Sideways, and so we had already kind of created something there, but then people just knew the red wax. And so if they forgot the name and they went into a wine store and they're like, I had this wine that I really liked at this, Fort Mason Center for Pinot Days in San Francisco, whatever. I don't remember the name, but it had this deep red wax, and like, boom, got it, Belle Glos.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, helped us maintain relevance during that period. And even, I think my dad's advice was right. It's like, you're going to be stuck with wax. Well, we're stuck with wax, but I don't dislike that at all. I think that it's part of our ethos, and I think it does tell the story of like, not only is this our higher tier from, say, like Bowen, but this is our way of showing you from the exterior what we put into the wine itself. And whenever people talk shit about it online, I just want to ask them like a couple questions. But I'm like, what kind of designer clothes do you own? Do you have like a fucking black shirt that says Versace that you paid an extra $100 for instead of just buying it from Gap? Like, do you wear your fucking fancy shoes, or do you just wear, your regular Skechers? And it's like, I guarantee all those people, branding is branding.
Yeah. There's
an image associated with every product you put on your body, every product you put in your body as well. Like, and that, like, if that's what people get out of this, if they feel like, if some dude goes on a first date and orders a bottle of Belle Glos because he knows it's going to taste good, he knows it's going to look goddamn good and be impressive on the table, then fucking make that your first date wine every time. Like, that's, if you keep on winning with it, and I do get that a lot. People come up to me all the time at events, and they're like, Belle Glos was our first date. That was our wine on the first date. I'm like, man, is there something in this?
Yeah, engagement.
I know we got a little more alcohol in our wines than most Pinot Noirs, but I also think it's like, there is something that just feels like you're gonna have a good time when the bottle looks good and the wine tastes good, and it's impressing everybody at the table. Like, that's what you go for at the end of the day.
And also, I mean, to your point with the Versace point, it's like, yeah, I mean, branding's one thing, but did you also know that there was like a practical aspect to it? That there was actually like an efficient aspect to it, right? Like, that's even better. So it's just kind of like, to me, it's, if it looks sexy and cool, and then that's the point, and people remember it, and they're like, and it's helping your brand, and even back in the day, it's keeping your line longer. That already is a good enough reason. Yeah. Right?
I mean, the thing is, you could just put one little tiny bit of wax on there, and it would do the service of a wax seal.
Yeah.
But why not make it look good?
That's
what I don't get. It's like people like look at it's everything, like, it's all around you. Otherwise, you just want to go back to government cheese.
Yeah,
where it's just a white box and it says cheese in black writing, or butter.
I think that's
milk.
coming back though.
It's the minimalism. Minimalism is going to die, dude. I can't wait for it to die. It's when are we going to see maximalism? Like, I hate seeing these cities that are all just gray and drab and boxy, and there's no character to them. Like, bring back color on buildings, architectural relevance. Like, that's all got to come back.
Maximalism.
Just,
I like that. Maximalism.
Just some style, dude. Bring style back.
Well, this is actually, because I do want, I mean, it's been saying here. I've just been like, standing here, it's been sitting here, just eyeing at me, looking at me. Do you want to talk a little bit about this? I just want to get this in too, because this is the celebration of.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, like 25 years. There are a couple of things I wanted to talk about, though, also with.
Yeah.
So, like, Belle Glos, we named it after my grandmother, Lorna Belle Glos. That was a name, and I did work with my dad on this, and like we were going back and forth. We were playing with a name, called Nuage. Nuage means it's spelled almost like New Age, Nuage. In French, it means cloud,
Okay.
like fog, cloud, whatever. And so that was kind of like the coastal vibe and that sort of thing. Had a bunch of different names that all kind of correlated to the coastline. Had Belle Glos. Had a couple variations of Belle Glos, like just Belle, like, and Le Belle. And it was really, that was kind of the familial part, where it was like my grandmother being a lover of Pinot Noir, and people have heard me talk, they've heard the story. She was a co-founder of Camus, lover of Pinot Noir, big inspiration to all she was around, but like her family especially. And it was her family that originally came here from Alsace back in the day. So we were the first ancestors of mine were from my grandmother, Lorna Belle Glos, my paternal grandmother. And they brought over their skill sets of growing grapes, making wine, and they made their way to California somehow when this place had like a bale grist mill, and that was it. And they homesteaded up on Hell Mountain. And so we have a lot of history here, like before it was even a wine growing region. And so I wanted to kind of honor her history and all of the heritage along the way. And also, being a more delicate style of wine with Pinot Noir, I felt like it was very fitting to like carry that heritage on through the bottling. And I mean, I worked very closely to her. She was, quite a bit older than me, obviously, but she lived to the age of about 98. And I got to see her on a like daily basis, like 5-6 days a week. And I think she was actually, over time, she became very honored that we carried her name on the bottle, which that was the first time we ever put a family name on the bottle. And like people have asked about Camus, and my grandfather's story was he had lived through Prohibition and the Great Depression, and he didn't want to put his last name on something that the federal government could collapse without his doing. You guess where he was politically.
Yeah.
He was an interesting guy, and I think my grandmother, Lorna Belle, as well, they were both very interesting politically. I mean, very much independent-minded, but just fiscally responsible more than anything. But they really didn't give a shit what you wanted to do with your own life. Like, my grandfather always thought, like, make all drugs legal. Like, he's like, what if you want to ruin your life, go ahead. And
I just thought you wanted to party.
So he never understood like the waste of infrastructure and time to keep people from damaging themselves, I guess. Anyways, he had some really interesting ideas, and I can appreciate them all. But yeah, so back to the branding, we ended up with Belle Glos, but one thing I had mentioned earlier, that the king of wine is known as Cabernet, the queen of wine is known as Chardonnay. And so that leaves Pinot Noir as being like the next most relevant varietal in a way, not by volume necessarily, but prestige, I think, is how I'd look at it. Like, you have the main houses of France that kind of set the precedent there from a varietal standpoint: Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay. So Pinot Noir has been referred to as the Red Queen. And so I played a lot with that brand name. And different languages, different variations of how to kind of like denote this being the queen of the reds, not the king of the reds like Cabernet, but the queen of the reds. So we dropped those names and went with Belle Glos, which I think was, in hindsight, the right thing to do. But it's not an easy name. You come up with a brand like Quilt, people get it right away. Like, it's easy, and you got to say Belle Glos or drink it or enjoy it a number of times before you can remember it as like one of your go-to Pinot Noirs. So, but nonetheless, we were able to, I think we took the harder route, but it was the right route to be able to build the brand like that. So, and again, it was tiny, for years, and that tripling of production as well. That wasn't like going from 10,000 cases to 30,000 cases. We're talking like hundreds of cases to like over 1,000 cases. So when I say tripling production, I always forget to like mention that point, because that's a big difference.
Yeah. And
so, but still, I mean, selling 100 cases of wine for some people is very hard. Like, that's not, you got to get out and fucking sell the stuff. So nonetheless, it was still a tripling. And the brands grew, and the Sonoma Coast, which became Meiomi, that grew. And I do remember talking to my dad at one point, and he also has some interesting, good philosophies and whatnot. And one of those being that we were talking about, like, how did I get into Pinot Noir? He didn't put that in front of me. He didn't say, hey, you're trying Pinot Noir. But he just said, I give every one of my kids an opportunity. They're not all the same opportunity. They're not all fair. They're not all as equitable, but it's where you take the opportunity that matters. And so you could look back in hindsight and say, I got the opportunity of a product, of a varietal that nobody gave a fuck about. but I believed in it.
Yeah.
And it became a very successful company. And that's something to be really proud of. And so my dad did tell me in some later years, we were having a conversation, and I think the question was something of, where did you think this was going to go? Like, where did you think Pinot Noir was going to go? And he's like, oh, hell, I figured that, you'd be a huge success if you sold 20,000 cases of Pinot Noir. And we were doing over 600,000. mostly Meiomi. And I was like, yeah, it kind of took off. And so, but back to that part of that trajectory when Meiomi took off, that was also kind of out of necessity. I will get back to the 25th, but this is an important part of the story because we went through a recession around 2008, 2009, and it was there were no orders of our wine for, this is not just Belle Glos, the whole family, no orders of wine for a couple months. It was end of the year, October hit, that's when the stock market crashed or the housing market crashed is what it really was. And then, so nobody knew where the bottom was. I don't think we saw where the bottom was until the beginning of the following year. But there were no orders. So we dug into, the books and tried to figure out what we're going to do. And when are these, distributors going to start ordering again? What's going on in the marketplace? It was a really odd period of time where people didn't want to have fancy things in their possession. You didn't want to carry around a luxury bag. You were embarrassed. I don't know if you remember this. You didn't want to wear designer shoes. You didn't want to have, you didn't want to drive a Cadillac. You wanted to drive a Chevy. If you had the means, you still didn't want to show it because you knew how many people were out there struggling. And what happened during that time was a massive trade down from Belle Glos to Meiomi. And that was the beginning of the rise, this massive rise. We already were in a ton of restaurants, and that's where it was supposed to be. But I remember talking to the buyers over at Safeway, and this is the first time I ever got into retail chain. So I go over to Pleasanton here in California. They're not too far, 2 hours away from us. And I meet with them. There were two guys, I think, at the time. And I'm pitching Meiomi, hey, to bring it into their stores. And first time we'd go into retail. And they're like, we've, never heard of this wine. What do you, why, we can't bring it. There's no track record. And I didn't even know they were looking at data, in-store data, competitor stores data, as to what wines are going. They all kind of look at their own successes and say, oh, we're missing out on this product, so we better bring it into our stores. And so they got convinced to bring in to, I think, their top tier Safeway stores in California, and they tried it out. But the only thing they had to go on was I was like, it's part of Belle Glos. We're selling about 90,000 cases in restaurants right now, and we get calls all the time that people want to buy this stuff retail, and we're not selling it at the tasting room. And so they brought it in, and it flew off the shelf. And then this is when I started learning about a whole different world of the market, where it's all right, now we're looking at Nielsen data or Circana IRI data, just scan data going through the register. You can pay for it, and you get to see how products are doing and how you stack up against your competitive set. I started learning about that, seeing that brand was going to the moon. And then you bring that data and you say, hey, Safeway and Albertsons are doing really good with this. Kroger, you're missing out. And they go, fuck, we're missing out. Authorizing it at all the stores. So it blew up. And then it was a wild time of just managing inventory, where instead of pumping the brakes, it's probably another thing I'd do differently. I don't think I would have taken that, supply the demand approach to the extent that I did. I think I probably would have just said hey, we're good where we're at. Like after we hit a certain point, now we're going to manage it based on price. But we took multiple years of just, if there's a demand, we're going to supply it. And it was a wild time. Like it was trying to manage when something is like you got a tiger by the tail and you have no ability to, like, we're buying fruit almost exclusively for Meiomi. So like there's a little bit of drop down from Belle Glos, but like Meiomi was so big and had its own dedicated like amount of fruit that we needed to purchase. And so we ended up having to say like, well, we think we're going to double it again this year. Like, I don't know, maybe. Like, okay, well, then we're buying, millions of dollars in grapes with the assumption that that's going to go into bottle and be sold in, the next 24 months from the time you pick it. And so it was just a wild time of like, you'd have a 9-month sell through and you're like, okay, we're going to react and try to push that out to like an 18-month sell through for the next vintage. And then finding space to produce became a whole nother issue in itself. Just being able to blend that big was really tough. We had taken over a large facility that had these monstrous tanks, and we were able to do our blends there and maintain quality because the philosophy was you produce the wine and you bottle it, and that's it. It's not just, hey, we need more wine, and then you find more wine over in somebody else's tanks and you bring it in and blend it and throw it in. Like that's not that's not the industry that I wanted to be in. The commodity wine industry is very different from fine wine, but how can you do scale at the level of fine wine? That was the balancing act that we were managing, and it became a monster. And then we ended up selling it in 2015, which was a good deal.
And that's something you wouldn't change.
No, I wouldn't change that. No.
That was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, no, it was a good time to sell. It was just becoming a monster. I felt like we were all unbalanced. We had this giant production, then we had all these like smaller wines, smaller brands that we had been working on. I was going through a divorce. I'm trying to think what else. We were in a lot of debt as well, but it was all cycling. Like that all worked well. Like you still need to work with a bank even if you don't need them. But nonetheless, it was a crazy time, but it got us to be able to refocus on just like what really mattered, which was Belle Glos and the other brands. We now have like Quilt, and then Bowen came shortly after that, etc. So yeah, I mean, we've got a good portfolio. It's tight. We want to keep it that way. We don't want like 100 SKUs. But we did add this one SKU just this last year, which we've been anticipating this. We actually wanted to do a 20th anniversary. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, I thought that was coming, and so
there was talk about it until 2020 happened, and then the fires and COVID.
Why didn't you still do it?
It's like, dude, the last thing I want to celebrate. I don't ever want to see a bottle with the 2020 vintage on it again. That fucking year sucked.
Yeah.
so we
sucked, but like also showed a lot of heart. I want to say too, because the fact that like that's the thing, right? I mean, can you say, oh, it was 2020, so we didn't come out with a vintage that year? No. We
did come out with a vintage, but it was very short because we did have fire damage.
Yeah, there was fire damage. We did
have smoke
wearing
damage.
Masks out there because it's like with the pandemic too at the same time. It was like it was chaos. But I just wanted to give like credit where credit's due to like you and the team for that's what you do, right? It's you just can't be like, oh, I mean, think about the excuses you could take in that time.
Well, a lot of people did take those excuses and say we're just not going to produce.
Yeah,
and they didn't. But yeah, I mean, I looking back on 2020, that was a horrible year just in general. But yeah, it did show resilience and grit and all the good things that you hope your team has and hope that you have internally as well. I mean, because that was like unprecedented times in all ways. Right. But yeah, so we skipped on it. I can tell you by October of that year, I was like, we're not doing a 2020 celebration vintage. So even if the harvest came in, but then it was kind of like, well, we'll see how 25 goes. And I kind of had my hopes up for 20. I was like, it'd be pretty cool to do 20. And then once we had the vintage, I was like, I don't want to ever get my hopes up again. Let's see what the next kind of milestone is. If it's 25, great. And so 25 rolled around, and you're like, yeah, it's a quarter century. It puts us, it tells our story about how we were making wine pre sideways, when it was really a risky time to be making Pinot Noir. And we've talked about that, but it's really a cool like just little point, because you got to really believe in something when there's seemingly no opportunity in it, right?
Yeah.
So, and it can't be a hobby. It's got to make some money. And so that was, it's like going back to those days. So 25 rolls around, 2025, and it is like a dream season. It was a good sized crop, not too heavy, not too light, just good all across the board, every region. And I'm going to use the classic winemaker line, like best vintage for Pinot Noir in my career. I'm not kidding. Like the joke is that every year, the winemaker says last vintage was the best vintage of my career. No, but 2025 absolutely knocked the doors off. It was, best vintage for Pinot Noir. I can say Cabernet, really difficult in 2025. 2023 Cabernet, best vintage of my career for Napa Cabernet. And that's already I think we're almost sold out of that. So that's like, we're not saying it just to sell it. It's like, 24 turned out good, but like there was something like special, like spectacular about the 23. And I got to say the same thing about the 2025. So when we saw that, we could tell right off of, your mid fermentation, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good year. And so then you start thinking like, okay, well, if this does come to fruition and the whole vintage finishes off in a positive way, what do we want to do? And, the thought was, maybe we'll just do a 25th anniversary for all of the vineyard designates and just like change the label for a year. I was like, that doesn't seem like a celebration. Like we'll still have those and we want to do that, but let's do something that's kind of like unique, that tells a little more of the story of the brand, and what created the brand, what carries the brand forward. And we started thinking about this idea of using our three main vineyard designates. So Las Alturas being, I think, the largest portion of the blend, but it's like 36% or something like that. It's like they're more or less kind of a third, and a third. Las Alturas is a little more skewed into it, just because Las Alturas is like a rock star. It's so showy all the time, and I just thought it needed a little more structure. So, but taking those three, working them together to create this more style-driven, like the Belle Glos style Pinot Noir from these three vineyards, and that's what we created. Being able to showcase that wine and tell the story, and I do think the wine turned out like just awesome. I think people are going to be really happy with it. They get themselves a bottle, and it looks fucking sexy too. I really like the look of this. Because the fun part about this is like you do a one-off, and like let's go screen print it. Like it's going to look really good with the red wax, and we need to differentiate it from the other wines as well, and that's what we're able to do.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note that it's not just a popular first date wine. It also has a 100% success rate. So, it also has that to attribute.
That is the guys,
to the magic.
Whenever the guys tell me it's like our first date wine, he's like,
it didn't.
First date, dude.
You know it had to go well, dude. With that, and this is the first time ever with these three single vineyards coming together.
First time,
and I think that's, pretty magical in itself. Those just being like you said, it's the first time they're really coming together as a family to celebrate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like, why haven't we done this before? Like it's,
Yeah.
because you kind of like you step back and you're like, okay, we just needed something to celebrate, to bring the ideas to the table, and then we picked the idea that we think is the right idea, but it really feels really right.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something we continue doing, like just for the tasting room in 2026, 2027, because it's kind of funny is that our vintages coincide with our anniversary. 2001 was our first vintage.
Yeah.
And that was our first vintage.
Yeah.
2002 was our second.
Yeah.
So all of our anniversaries are going to coincide with the vintage year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
We started 2001.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't.
It's like you're saying it's like all perfectly.
You get that chance one time in 100 years.
Yeah.
To start a brand in 01.
I mean, I kind of just think this is like the whole story. I feel like that if you actually could do this like cinematic presentation of this, like in the movies, like, and you just told your whole story or what you were going through with right now and how everything kind of fell into place, and you know, even down to just that last point that you made, so people would be like, nah, only in the movies.
It's
like, really,
it's a good point. It's funny to think about.
They're like, oh, and then like they're the underdog varietal, and then this movie comes out, and then like, you know what I mean, it's like triple production. You know what I mean? Like this kind of
sideways to it, just make it this like the story.
Like, he was too young, so he grew a beard, and then died about his age like that. You know, it's like She's All That, you know, or like the nerd or whatever. They're like, okay, this was so fucked up back then too, right? Because like in this movie, they're like, let's make her ugly, give her glasses, and put her hair up. But then at the end, we're gonna reveal that she's really hot. She's gonna take those glasses off, throw them on the ground, and then just kind of like throw out her hair, which is like still, I think, kind of like rude because it's like glasses are sexy. Anyways, I went off on a tangent there, but you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. And with the blending process, like, I mean, when you're bringing in these three vineyards together, because you're like, when you were like going through your tasting, like, did it take you a long time to get there, do you think? Or was that even like in the timing or?
No, I mean, we selected certain, I'll call them like fermentation lots that we really wanted this to be a little like a level of show above like what our vineyard designates are known for. So like we ended up picking a little more of like cherry picking some of the riper stuff.
Yeah.
There's still plenty that goes into our like bottlings of Los Alturas, Clark and Telephone and Dairyman, but like this was just like, hey, we're not making as much of it. Let's just handpick kind of like the stuff that's going to be really chewy Pinot Noir. And it's, I mean, this is going to offend the traditionalists more than our other wines. The traditionalists.
That's kind of like what you've been doing, though, right?
Kind of the point. It's like, it's like,
wait, can you
you thought we couldn't go any crazier? Yeah. Yep. No, we're gonna fuck with you.
Well, okay, wait, and okay, just to expand a little bit on that, those that might not know or be familiar with the style, when we're talking about like the style of Belle Glos, what sets it apart? How is it going to offend the traditionalists?
I mean, so everybody's got their own personal preference in their palate, right? And some people are guided more by, you know, God, I guess you can call them like the elitists of the wine world that are kind of like telling you should only be drinking this because they've been making it for this way for 300 years or 500 years, whatever. And that some variety is supposed to only be within these boundaries of style and character. And every region has different options for what that might look like. Like, you're not going to be able to make a Bordeaux style of Cabernet and Napa, and you're not going to be able to make a Napa style of Cabernet and Bordeaux. Same thing for Pinot Noir. Like, if you prefer to have a very kind of lean, very delicate, lighter, higher acid style of Pinot Noir, by all means, go for it, drink that, enjoy it. I don't think that's what California does best. If you want to drink that, go to Burgundy, and you'll find some great ones. New Zealand's got some really great Pinot Noirs, their own unique style, but very, very much like on the lighter, more delicate side. When I say that this is going to offend the traditionalists, they're going to taste this and be like, "This doesn't even taste like Pinot Noir." It's like, yeah, no shit, because I don't want it to taste like, you know, root vegetables and fucking celery. Like, I want my wines to taste good. I want them to have some earthiness, but be really fruit forward, have a ton of spice, good acid balance, not a lot of tannin, but a ton of structure, like the phenolic weight. I think that's what really gets people set off the most, is that they taste it and they just feel this thing just like in their mouth, just like an explosion. And they're like, whoa, this doesn't feel like Pinot Noir. But then if you pay attention to the finish, like all of that kind of melds down into this nice, like, firm acid that carries the character through for a long period. And that's the beauty of Pinot Noir, because without the acid, you're going to have this kind of like just drab, sappy, flabby style of wine. and if you have too much tannin, too much acid, it's going to tighten up on your palate. So it's got this natural tendency towards low tannin and high acid. It's our job to bring out the mid palate and really force that to be a big part of the wine. And along with that, you're going to be setting and extracting your aromatics and your flavors and all that. But really, when we're fermenting, we're focusing on how much color pickup we have and what our phenolic profile is. How does it feel against the acidity? Even when it's at 10 bricks and still clicking down, like we're paying attention to that shit and making sure there's no flaws that are coming on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that people are gonna absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. I think I'm willing to bet that more people are gonna love it than hate it.
Yeah, I think they're going to love it. I was going to say, like, my mouth starts watering because then I'm just thinking about, like, I think there's just such a strong connection to, how can I harmonize this with foods? You know what I mean? You start...
I think that's the fun of it.
And that's the fun, right? And that's like,
with Pinot in particular, you can go the broadest with Pinot Noir over any other variety.
Yeah.
That's it. I think like that, and I think Pinot Noir is the best food wine.
I mean, that's the journey we talk about, too, when you bring up, going into a restaurant and when you speak to, not a kami-sami, but like one of the good ones, that the som is, we would hope was like going to lead you on a journey that is including that aspect of your discovery.
Yeah.
Is the food journey, not I'm trying to sell you something because, of the high price point or, this is like what the elitists say is the best.
Yeah.
I
mean, I would love it if there were some somms out there who don't like our wines, but we're just like, you know what? I'm going to go out and recommend this wine to everybody that comes in and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Like, instead of being like, I'm going to recommend this like priced from, unknown producer or whatever. Because at the end of the day, if you're giving your guests a good experience, that every restaurant, the only thing they're going for is the return customer. Like, that's it. I guess you could be like the French Laundry and you just know you have a waiting list for people to do their one experience of a lifetime with you. But the general restaurateur is looking for, how do I get a return customer? Yeah. And that is everything to do with their controllables, right? Their ambiance, their music, their service. I look at that as a more controllable, and their food, and then wine is also a part of that. But if you have one person that's going rogue and recommending stuff that tastes like piss, yeah, that's gonna be one notch down in the experience and one notch down from an opportunity to bring that customer back.
Yeah, I just think that's like so interesting. I think Belle Glos was I just think that was meant to be. I mean, that's a beautiful name. I know sometimes people, they first see it and they may say Belle Glos or
Bella. I get a lot of Bella.
Because I think Bella's in people's head. But hey, they're kind of saying it's beautiful.
Well, it actually is the same thing.
Yeah.
In France, Belle means beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and then Glos, we actually don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's a family name.
Yeah.
So dating back to Alsace, but it doesn't really have I don't believe what the roots of it are. Like, where it's like, could it be Dutch? Could it be German? Could it be French? Could it be some sort of Scandinavian? Like, it could be any of those things.
Yeah.
Because 23andMe kind of comes over and just fucks you.
I don't even look at mine anymore. I don't even want to see it.
Well, you don't really know, like, I mean, like my mom's side, like I just grew up as like, oh, you're half German and half Italian. Period.
Same.
And then,
well, I mean, no, sorry.
You're half
I was
Mexican.
half Mexican, half Italian, but it was just like that simple.
It was that. So, and that's kind of how you keep it simple. Like, you kind of think of it more maybe as culturally than like where your ancestors actually lived or where they migrated from or through to. And so there's a lot of like Scandinavian or Norwegian blood in on my dad's side, where I was always under the impression it was German, but then there's like some Dutch as well. So you kind of think like maybe they started up in like kind of the Scandinavian countries and then they ended up like in Holland area, kind of Northern Europe. And then some people moved down into like Alsace, Spain, or sorry, Alsace, France and Germany. But like the bloodlines are all mixed up because of it. Because everywhere you went, you didn't typically just go for like a week long stay. You moved and then your kids found a new wife in that area, like, or whatever, like, and so bloodlines just all got kind of like very, mutt-ish. And then on my mom's side too, it's like Italian. No, it's like we're Iberian Peninsula, Spanish, Northern African, which makes sense because you've got some Sicilian in there. So
yeah,
place was raped and pillaged by everybody.
Oh wow, okay, just
Greeks.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was dark back then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but back to something that's so beautiful. Is that I love the homage of the name. Your grandma was a lovely soul.
She was just a farm girl, man. Loved it. Very happy woman all of her life. Worked her butt off and kept her brain like her whole life. Like, that's what I love the most. She drank wine and had her wits about her all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, so, I mean, getting so much insight, there was even stuff I learned, like some new stuff, like we were just talking about the name. Like, I didn't know some of those other choices it could have been. I'm glad that it is what it is today with Belle Glos being the name. But speaking of which, like your journey and this whole kind of aspect of the underdog story, would you have ever thought if you were going to go back to your younger self and say, hey, guess what? Just like stay on this path and you're going to become the king of Pinot? You're the king of Pinot, bro.
I don't think I am.
No, dude, you can look it up, dude.
No, if you
like you could Google it. I'm just wondering.
If you told that to people, like there's some people that would probably get really mad about that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
Which actually, I think that we should just start putting marketing material out there and call me the king of Pinot. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, you are. And I think this. I'm saying it. I'm speaking right. Like I'm saying that hearing your story is the perfect story to kind of earn that title whether you want it or not.
Well, I think that being that it's one of, I think, the most relevant luxury Pinot Noir brands out there, and we should all be very proud of that. That took a lot of people, a great team, a lot of work to get it to where it's at, and to stay focused on that and continuing to become even more solidified in some sort of capacity as a leader in the category of luxury Pinot Noir. I mean, I again, like I started in farming. I wish I spent more time in farming still. I think we can, make the hell out of some other varieties too. I mean, yeah, Cabernet is an awesome variety. I think we make some great cabs. I love a lot of the Rhone varieties, the Italian varieties. Love making those. And continuing to do that. So I'm glad that I'm not like kind of pigeonholed into like a single varietal. A lot of people are defined by a varietal. A lot of people in wine, like it's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, you can call me, if you call me the king of Pinot, maybe you would pigeonhole me, and I'd be pissed. Because I do like having all of the other opportunities that are in front of us to be able to create, I think, wines that make a difference in somebody's day, right? And that's, I think Belle Glos does that. I don't see it, falling off like any time. I think it's here to stay, and we've just got to, usher it to the next era, generation, whatever it is, in the right way. And I think we're doing that. And, I mean, as an example, when we're looking at something that's not working within Belle Glos, if we feel like it's taking away from Belle Glos, we'll cut that out of the program. And I think that's an important thing to do. I think people get to a point where it's like, we've got our kind of our ballade, our migratory vineyard designate that showcases kind of a unique area every vintage, kind of like a seasonal offering, and that's really on premise only. But I don't think that's going to be here to stay. That'll be only here for a couple more years. We'll phase out of that because I don't see it as bringing great value to the brand. And yeah, we could look at it and say, well, it's a good amount of cases and we're making money on it. Well, at what cost? Like, the expense of that is degradation of the brand. And so we need to, I think, keep that as a sharp focus for us to make sure that we're doing what benefits the brand at every turn. And we'll make mistakes, but you got to correct on those mistakes. Try new things, and if they work and they're a positive, then great, keep on doing it. But if it's not, then cut bait. And that's part of business, I guess, in any case. But I think for us, when it comes to we have the luxury of making decisions that are long term rather than going for a quarterly earnings report. So that luxury gives us the ability to say, financially, getting rid of this piece may not be the best thing, but long term, business wise, brand integrity wise, and financially, it will be a better thing. So if people want to call me the King of Pinot Noir, just from the premise of it offending a lot of people, go for it. Go for it. No, but I still feel like, hey, back to the very beginning of this podcast, we're only 25 years in.
Yeah.
I'm happy we're celebrating 25 years. But I really look forward to celebrating 50. And I mean, maybe with, modern medicine and the, continual consumption of good wine, I could maybe live to around 100. Maybe I could celebrate 75 years.
Okay, well, let's not get ahead of yourself. But I did want to say, what would you like to be celebrating in the next 25? 50th anniversary. And it could be anything. I mean, it could be with wine, with yourself.
What or where?
What would you like to be celebrating 25 years from now? Belle Glos is 50.
The death of AI.
Whoa, dude, that's a good one.
Whoa. I'm going to be celebrating in a commune where there's no AI allowed. That's I'm going to be in a garden somewhere. Celebrating, dude. I'd really like to see if any of my kids so choose to be involved in the wine business, that they've been able to take anything that I can teach them, anybody in my family that can teach them any of our knowledge, or anybody in the community or of wine, if they wanted to go that route, to be able to take all of that and kind of create their own unique thing, if that's what they so choose to do. Just to know that it's kind of like you try to usher the next generation in and leave them with something better than what you started with, or and then hopefully they leave their next generation the same way. Continue to be family owned, family operated. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, most companies get to a point and they're like, I'm going to go public or whatever. I think a lot of people don't want to deal with the stresses of it, of managing, a business and a team, like a sales team in particular. It's like, well, if we just had a structure and I was just a hired gun employee and I still did all the same shit that I got to do, doesn't that sound like a nice life? I mean, parts of it, sure, but like, you're not controlling your own destiny and you're not really doing anything for the next generation. I mean, that's something I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, if I didn't have any of you guys, and like all 6 of my kids, so if I didn't have any of you guys, or all of you guys absolutely hated the industry and wanted to go move somewhere else by the time you're whatever age, what's the point in me doing it? Like, you think I'm, I get up and still go to work for way more hours than a, normal 40-hour-a-week person goes to, and care about the company so much because I just want to make some money every year? It's like, no, I'm doing this because I want it to be better when you guys have the opportunity to take it over if you want to. So I'd say that's probably at 50 years. I mean, shit, at 50 years, they might just have retired me. They might push me out into some field and be like, if you want to make wine, you're going to make wine on your own. We've already got this covered. Because they're all going to be way better than I am at life anyways.
He just wants to be in a burlap bag and buried under a tree.
Bury me under an oak.
An oak tree.
Yeah, it's got to be an oak. I think, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I guess it could be a grapevine.
Yeah. I mean, you have the tree out there, and then I just kind of go in there and it's carved douche. And then I die. I just want to be ashes.
Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, we'll use your ashes to fertilize my tree. Thank you, Chris.
I don't know, dude. Then it would die, though, dude. I don't know if you want that, but all right, dude. Well, I think this is a good way to close.
I'm sure there's gonna be more shit to come up on 25 years and some of the stories, but there's. We should probably just do another podcast with the 25th of like the craziest shit that's happened during those 25 years.
Yeah, that's what I want to get to, the crazy shit.
Well, let's do another episode, because like we could talk about the earthquake.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about like maybe.
Oh, the sale of Meiomi party.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to like, you're
the debauchery.
You want to know the debauchery? Yeah. Okay.
Was there? There's got to be little sprinkles of that.
Oh, yeah,
is this? Are you creating like a cliffhanger now? Like we will like.
Yeah, I just created a cliffhanger.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's what he does.
the King of Pinot.
The
just
King of
created a
Pinot has
cliffhanger.
spoken. The King of Pinot.
All right, until next time, when you want to hear all the debaucherous stories and the crazy shit that's happened in this industry, you got to wait. Now you have a good foundation of the history.
And that's what we do here on Go With Your
Fun
Palate.
stuff next time.
All right.
Adios.
Peace.